Hello everyone, welcome to Regulatory Bodies YouTube channel by Testbook. My name is Madhav Sir. I welcome you all in the next and a very important session where we will be discussing the finance current affairs for 20th and 21st of May 2025. I can assure you, and in this particular session we will be discussing very important news which have a great probability that they will be asked in the examination for RBI Grade B 2025. But before I start, may I have a reply in the comment section that I'm audible, visible, everything is fine, we are good to go, so that we can begin the discussion without any further delay. Today, first we'll start the discussion on the news which we have covered in the previous session. We will be solving few questions related to the same so that you get that confidence कि हाँ जो पिछली क्लास में पढ़ा था, now I am in a position to answer the questions. Once we are clear with the last session, then we will be moving up with the current session where we have many important news to be discussed today, where we have direct two master directions given by RBI and some of the other important news which has a great probability that they can be asked in the phase 2 as well as in the phase 1 examination. ठीक है जी? I hope everything is fine. We are good to go. Just give me a thumbs up so that we can begin the discussion without any further delay. First of all, guys, if you want to download the PDF of this session, that is available on our Telegram channel. You can download it from here. And if I start my discussion with the first question को जो मैंने frame किया है, it has been framed on the basis of the comments which I have received from you guys in the previous session. And the comments was कि सर आपने एक तो बात की थी 15th जून की और एक आपने बात की थी नवंबर 2025. वो नवंबर 2025 का क्या लॉजिक है, वो लॉजिक मैं आपको बता देता हूं. वो लॉजिक ये था कि रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया डायरेक्शन, दैट इज डिजिटल लेंडिंग डायरेक्शन 2025 shall came into effect from 1st November 2025 will include what all. So मैं पूरी लिस्ट ले आया हूं. ऑलरेडी ये पढ़ चुके हैं हम, ऑलरेडी ये डिस्कस कर चुके हैं हम, बट today with the help of this question वो आपके दिमाग में बैठ जाएगा कि this is something which is going to be asked or this is something which is related to 1st November 2025. आप ये 1st November वाला पॉइंट भूल जाओ, जो लास्ट क्लास में पढ़ा था उसके बेसिस पे क्वेश्चंस को आंसर करने की कोशिश करो. फर्स्ट पॉइंट सेज द लेंडिंग सर्विस प्रोवाइडर shall provide a digital view of all the loan offers matching and unmatching the borrower's request on the डिजिटल लेंडिंग एप्लीकेशन. दैट इज एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. याद आया आपको, मैंने कहा कि मैंने क्या बताया कि एक इंडिविजुअल है, उस इंडिविजुअल ने आकर रिक्वेस्ट की दैट सर आई वांट टू बोरो अ लोन फॉर लेट्स से 1 लाख रुपीज. आई कैन पे अ रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट ऑफ 10% पर एनम ओनली एंड आई वांट लोन फॉर 12 मंथ्स. इन सारी कंडीशंस को फुलफिल करने वाले जो भी लेंडर्स हैं, यू विल बी गिविंग द information of all those lenders, और उसके साथ साथ you will also give the information of the lenders which are not matching your requirement. This point we have discussed, that is absolutely correct. ये point क्या है? ये बिल्कुल correct है कि जो आपकी lending service provider है, that is the agent which has tied up with multiple lenders, जो मल्टीपल लेंडर्स के साथ टाई अप हुआ है. अंडर दैट मल्टीपल लेंडर्स दे विल बी कमिंग अप विद ऑल द मैचिंग डिटेल्स एज वेल एज द अनमैचिंग डिटेल्स. दैट इज करेक्ट. सेकंड पॉइंट सेज lending service provider may adopt any mechanism to match the request of the borrower with the lender to offer a loan. It shall follow a consistent approach for similarly placed borrowers and products. ये बिल्कुल ठीक है कि सर ये जो lending service provider है उसने एक मेथड बनाया एंड उस मेथड के तहत इट इज बीइंग ट्राइड, इट इज बीइंग फुलफिल्ड कि भैया जो भी रिक्वेस्ट आएगी उस रिक्वेस्ट को जो लेंडर्स फुलफिल कर रहे होंगे उन सारे के सारे लेंडर्स की हम लिस्ट देंगे एंड सेम फॉर्मेट इज नीड टू बी फुलफिल्ड एवरी टाइम. दैट इज एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. डिजिटल व्यू ऑफ लोन ऑफर shall include the name of the regulated entity. बिल्कुल सही सर, नेम होना चाहिए रेगुलेटेड एंटिटी का. एक्सटेंडिंग द लोन ऑफर अमाउंट होनी चाहिए कितना है, टेन्योर ऑफ द लोन, उसके साथ साथ एनुअल परसेंटेज रेट कितना है, मंथली रीपेमेंट ऑब्लिगेशन कितना होगा, पेनल्टी चार्जेस इफ एप्लीकेबल कितने होंगे, ये सारी की सारी डिटेल आपको सबमिट करनी होगी. दैट इज अगेन करेक्ट. सो ये पॉइंट भी बिल्कुल करेक्ट है. LSP shall be unbiased. LSP unbiased रहेगा सारे के सारे lenders के लिए, those who are registered with it. That is also correct. So according to this, sir, this E statement is correct. लेकिन point यहाँ पर ये है कि all the conditions which are ought to be fulfilled, all the conditions which are ought to be fulfilled by lender service provider. What is the timeline? So the timeline for fulfilling these conditions is 1st November 2025, यानी 1 नवंबर 2025 से लेंडिंग सर्विस प्रोवाइडर की वेबसाइट पे मैचिंग अनमैचिंग की लिस्ट होगी. जो भी मैकेनिज्म आप यूज करेंगे दैट शुड बी अ स्टैंडर्ड मैकेनिज्म यूज्ड ओवरऑल. उसके बाद जो भी आप डिजिटल लोन प्रोवाइड किया जाएगा उस लोन का जो भी कंडीशंस है, जो भी क्राइटेरियाज है, दैट शुड बी डिस्प्लेड और एलएसपी शुड बी अनबायस्ड. ऑल दीज कंडीशंस आर नीड टू बी फुलफिल्ड फ्रॉम 1st of November 2025. पॉइंट क्लियर हो गया? तो ये पॉइंट्स हमने पढ़े थे. आई एम सॉरी फॉर दैट, आई हैव नॉट मेंशन्ड द डेट कि ये वाले जो कंडीशंस है when these conditions are going to be applicable, but now I have shared the link, I have shared the answer that it will be applicable from 1st of November 2025. Moving on to the next question. अगला क्वेश्चन देखो. Consider the following statement about regulated entity lending service provider arrangement. पहला पॉइंट, regulated entity must conduct due diligence before partnering with any lender service provider. That is absolutely correct. Regulated entity is absolved of liability for act of the LSP once a formal contract is signed. ये पॉइंट समझ के देखो कि जो regulated entity है that will be liable for the acts of lending service provider. Acts of lending service provider, is it correct? Yes sir, that is absolutely correct. Periodic review of LSP conduct are mandatory. हाँ, जो बैंक है आपका, जो regulated entity है, that will review the lending service provider. That is also correct. LSP can be given complete control over the borrower fund. ना सर, LSP को borrower के fund पर complete control नहीं दिया जाएगा. That is not true. Regulated entity must provide operational guidance to the LSP acting as a recovery agent. That is also true. So on that particular basis, what all points are going to be correct? So 1, 3rd and 5th point is correct. Why is the second point is not correct? Sir, the second point is not correct because the regulated entity is going to be liable for all the acts of LSP once a formal contract is signed. It's not going to be limited in nature. So that is the reason second point is incorrect. First, third and fifth point are absolutely correct. So answer क्या होगा? Sir, answer is going to be B option. Is this point clear guys? Is this point clear? आगे बढ़े. बहुत बढ़िया, काफी लोगों ने सही आंसर दिया. Moving on to the next question. The next question says, which of the following is not permitted in digital loan disbursement and payment? Digital loan disbursement और payment में इनमें से कौन सा point applicable नहीं है, कौन सा point allowed नहीं है? Please check it once and give me the answer in the comment section, please. I want everyone to give me the reply. So loan dispersed to the borrower's own bank account. सर जो लोन डिस्पर्स होगा वो borrower के बैंक अकाउंट में होगा, ये तो सही है. Repayment will be made directly to the regulated entity. That is also correct. LSP collecting repayment directly into their own account? नहीं सर, LSP directly funds को अपने अकाउंट में कलेक्ट नहीं करेगा. LSP is just the mediator. For that matter, digital lending application is just the mediator. Borrower or bank, once the loan agreement is signed, the payment will be done in this format. Payment will be done in this format कि बैंक अगर कोई charges है तो बैंक जो भी service charges है या जो service charges लिए गए हैं by LSP, that will be paid by bank. Customer will be paying all the charges, all the amount directly to the bank. Customer will not pay any amount to the LSP or DLA. Second, अगला पॉइंट आता है dispersal into the account of the end beneficiary in co-lending arrangements. ये भी ठीक है. Cash recovery from loans with the same day accounting, that is also correct, but C option is incorrect. C option is not correct. LSP collecting repayment directly into their bank account is not allowed under the digital lending platforms. Clear हो गया जी? समझ आ गया? चलो, moving on to the next point. The next point says, under the grievance redressal guidelines, first point, nodal officers must be appointed by regulated entity and LSP. Nodal officers जो है, who are going to appoint the nodal officers? regulated entity and LSP both or only regulated entity? Second point, borrower must be informed of the recovery agent's identity before the contact. ये तो बिल्कुल ठीक है, और अगर आपने किसी एजेंट को चेंज किया तो उसकी भी जो इंफॉर्मेशन है दैट शुड आल्सो बी गिवन. Borrower can complain via RBI complaint management system or postal address. That means borrower can give up or come up with a physical complaint as well if unsatisfied with the regulated entity's response. That is correct. Complaint must be resolved within 7 days. ऐसा कहीं कोई provision है क्या? Is there any provision कि complaint 7 days के अंदर resolve होगा? नहीं. DLA must allow digital complaint logging. That is absolutely correct. यानी कि आपकी जो digital lending application है उस पे भी आप allow करेंगे कि आपकी जो भी complaint आप करना चाहते हैं वो कर पाए. तो 1, 2, 3 and 5 are correct, but the fourth statement which is mentioned that is incorrect. So answer is going to be what? Sir, answer is going to be D option. ठीक है जी. अगले क्वेश्चन पे बढ़ते हैं. Which of the following actions require borrower's explicit consent under the directions? मतलब क्या हुआ कि अगर आप एक बोरोवर है और उस बोरोवर की इंफॉर्मेशन को शेयर किया जा रहा है, जो भी टास्क परफॉर्म किए जा रहे हैं एज पर दी गिवन ऑप्शंस, यू रिक्वायर कंसेंट फ्रॉम द बोरोवर. लेट्स चेक इट आउट. पहला पॉइंट, एक्सेस टू कॉन्टैक्ट लिस्ट ऑफ द एक्सेस टू कॉन्टैक्ट लिस्ट फॉर मार्केटिंग. किसका कंसेंट चाहिए? सर, बोरोवर का कंसेंट चाहिए. वो आता है ना, व्हेनेवर यू डाउनलोड एन एप्लीकेशन there comes an option, would you like to give access to the contact list to that particular application? So that is your consent. You either you accept it or you reject it. Access to camera for KYC, that is also required. Access to telephony logs for analytics, that is also required. Sharing data with the third party, yes sir. तो ये सारे के सारे operations के लिए you need explicit consent, you need explicit approval from the borrower. Then only these tasks can be performed by the digital lending application, otherwise it is not allowed. Moving on to the next point, which firms are permitted for default loss guarantee coverage? Default loss guarantee coverage का मतलब क्या हुआ कि सब मान लो एक regulated entity है, it is providing a loan, और उस लोन के बदले में there is a party which is giving गारंटी, डिजिटल लेंडिंग गारंटी, कि ये जो आपका डिजिटल लेंडिंग है उसके बदले में आई एम ट्राइंग और आई एम रेडी टू गिव यू द गारंटी. इफ इन नियर फ्यूचर द लोन इज नॉट पेड बैक, डोंट वरी, आई विल बी द वन हु विल बी पेइंग द लोन. बट इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस, हु ऑल आर परमिटेड? म्यूचुअल फंड्स विद रेगुलेटेड एंटिटी एज नॉमिनी, दे आर परमिटेड, yes sir or no sir? Think about it. Then we have fixed deposit with lien in regulatory entity favor, insurance cover purchased by LSP, bank guarantee in regulated entity favor, और cash deposit with regulated entity favor. तो इनमें से कौन कौन से एरियाज में, कौन कौन से पॉइंट्स में अलाउड है that you can provide digital lending guarantees? A digital lending guarantee is provided in case of fixed deposit with lien in regulated entities favor. It is allowed in case of bank guarantee in the regulated entities favor. So इसका मतलब bank guarantee regulated entity favor, cash deposit with regulated entity, fixed deposit with regulated entity, they are allowed. Mutual funds as well as insurance coverage, they are not allowed as default loss guarantee. So uske basis pe BDE is going to be the correct answer. So BDE, that means second option or B option is the correct answer. BDE is correct. Moving on to the last question, I guess. The maximum cap on digital lending guarantee cover that a regular entity can accept on a dispersed loan portfolio. तो जो भी आपका loan portfolio है, on that loan portfolio, what is the criteria? What is the criteria or what is the cap? What is the criteria or what is the cap of what? So what is the cap of digital lending guarantee? So the cap of digital lending guarantee is 5%. याद कर लेना. This is something which has a great potential that it will be asked in the examination. It is not 10%. Anuj Kumar, it is not 10%. It is 5%. Please check it once. Answer is going to be 5%. Last question. Which of the following statement regarding digital lending application is correct? All digital lending application must be reported to RBI through the CIMS portal. That is absolutely correct. And the timeline is June 2025. 15 June 2025 is the timeline. regulated entity chief compliance officer must clarify digital lending application compliance with all the regulatory instructions. That is correct. Regulated entity must update digital lending application reporting only once in a financial year. नहीं सर, पहले तो आपको अपनी पूरी की पूरी रिपोर्टिंग करनी है till 15th of June. उसके बाद whenever you are adding on a new digital lending application or you are going away or you are, I would say, parting apart from any other digital lending application, in that case you should inform the RBI on CIMS portal. Reporting to RBI implies RBI endorsement of DLA. Okay, DLA must display link to regulated entity grievance mechanism and RBI portal. So उसके basis पे अगर हम आंसर निकालेंगे तो आंसर is going to be first, second and fifth is correct. Fourth statement is not correct because reporting to RBI का मतलब ये नहीं हुआ कि RBI endorsement हो गई of the DLA. RBI is not endorsed for the DLA. Reporting to RBI means you are just telling that I have tied up with so and so DLAs so that I can disperse my loan to the public. So answer is going to be 1, 2, 5 on that particular basis. A option is the correct answer. ठीक है जी, क्लियर हो गया, समझ आ गया? चलो, बहुत बढ़िया मुस्कान, you have given the correct answer. Very good. Many of you have given the correct answer. चलो, I hope we are good to go. Now let's begin our discussion. Now let's begin the discussion for the next topic. And the next topic today we have is, आज मेरे पास 4 न्यूज हैं जिनमें से 2 न्यूज रिलेटेड है टू दी circulars. One is related to SEBI circular, other one is related to RBI circular, and 2 ऐसी न्यूज है which has a potential that they can be asked directly in phase 1 examination. ठीक है, let's begin. Just give me yes sir so that we can start the discussion without any further delay. चलो, here we go with the first news. The first news is related to SEBI. क्या है ये न्यूज? पहले इस न्यूज के बारे में पढ़ते हैं. SEBI mandated the use of EBP for all private placements. सबसे पहली चीज, what do you understand by the word private placement? What do you understand by the word private placement? For example, there is a company and this company is looking forward to raise investment from the public, and this investment could be raised in the form of equity. That means company is going to issue equity against that investment, or company can also raise the investment against the debt instruments. Company can also raise the investment against the debt instrument. Both are possible. But if this investment is raised openly from the public, if it is raised openly from the public, we call it as public issue. But if we are issuing, if as a company we are issuing these equities, we are issuing these debt instruments to the set of qualified investors, only, we call that as what? Sir, we call it as private placement. अब क्वेश्चन ये है कि सर इस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन में या इस पर्टिकुलर circular में they have used a word EBP. What is this EBP? Sir, EBP stands for Electronic Book Provider Platform. What is this Electronic Book Provider Platform? Sir, Electronic Book Provider Platform is basically a electronic platform which has been introduced by SEBI in 2016. And this platform क्या है? एक तरह से पोर्टल है. Company will go to that portal. We call it as EBP, that is Electronic Book Provider. And on that portal, company will come up with the details. Ki I want to issue debt instruments. The face value of the instrument is 10,000. Against this 10,000 of the face value, I will be paying coupon rate of 10%. Now, total value of this debt instrument which I am going to issue is, let's say, 10 crores. After giving all these details, on this particular platform, the investors, they can come and they can bid. They can participate in the auction format. That is basically termed as Electronic Book Provider, even in case of private placement. यहाँ पे सबको allowed नहीं है, but only the qualified institutional buyers, only the qualified buyers who are allowed by SEBI to be registered at EBP in order to invest in the instruments which are going to be issued by EBP, they can participate in the process of bidding. They can participate in the process of bidding. So SEBI in 2016 to provide an electronic platform for bidding in relation to debt securities which are issued on private placement basis. Which are issued on private placement basis. If it is clear till this point, just give me yes sir. अगला पॉइंट है कि सर ये न्यूज क्यों है, इस पे क्या डिस्कशन है, उसका रीजन देता हूं. EBP were introduced by amending the chapter 6 and 7 of the master circular which was given back in May 2024 after the recommendation of the working group and public feedback. तो public की feedback के बाद, कुछ recommendations के बाद यहां पर कुछ amendments किए गए. What were the amendments? The amendments were, if a company is issuing debt instruments, if a company is issuing debt instruments of value 50 crores and above, of value 50 crores and above, then they must issue these debt instruments through EBP and the qualified buyers will be allowed to bid for it. Qualified buyers will be allowed to bid for it. But if the debt instruments issued are below 50 crores, then you can issue it directly without registering, without coming up on EBP, without getting into the process of bidding and all. But now this time, this 50 crore limit has been revised. This 50 crore limit has been revised to 20 crores, which says that if a company is raising the funds against the debt instruments, then in that particular case, if your total debt instrument which you are going to issue in one go, or maybe you are going to issue in one financial year, if in one go or even in one financial year, its total value is greater than 20 crores, then you should go through EBP so that the bidding can be done. Is this point clear? Is this point clear? पॉइंट बड़ा सिंपल है कि सर एक कंपनी है, उस कंपनी को फंड्स की रिक्वायरमेंट है और कंपनी को अगर फंड्स की रिक्वायरमेंट है थ्रू डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, कंपनी कैन इशू दीज डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स डायरेक्टली टू द क्वालिफाइड बायर्स लाइक एक्स एंड वाई. बट अगर आप डायरेक्टली एक्स एंड वाई के पास जाते हैं, दैट इज अलाउड ओनली इन केस योर टोटल रिक्वायरमेंट, योर टोटल इशूइंग इज बिलो 50 करोड़. पहले तो इस 50 करोड़ को रिवाइज कर दिया, it has been changed to 20 crores or 20 crores either in one go or maybe in the entire financial year. अगर आप 20 करोड़ से ज्यादा या 20 करोड़ या उससे ज्यादा का लोन या उससे ज्यादा के डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स इशू करेंगे, then in that particular case you should go through EBP as per latest SEBI norms. So I'll just check it out for you. I'll just read it out for you. What does it say? This was basically introduced to fulfill the need for more efficient and transparent platform, which incorporated a better price discovery mechanism for the debt securities. क्या क्या points इसमें important है? पहला point जो कि important है, that is SEBI has issued these new directions through its circular under the SEBI Act 1992 in order to ensure transparency, investor protection, streamline the market process. Remember that SEBI mandated. Please pay attention. अब ये कोई option नहीं, it's not a suggestion, it's not an option, it's a mandatory condition. SEBI mandated that the use of electronic book platform for all the private placement debt issues of value 20 crores or above. Before this, the compulsory value or the limit was 50 crores. लेकिन इसमें एक पॉइंट याद रख लेना, चाहे तो आप एक ही बार में पूरे के पूरे 20 करोड़ के डेट इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स को इशू कर रहे हो और यू आर गोइंग टू इशू देम इन पार्ट्स, बट इफ इन वन फाइनेंशियल ईयर total issue is going to be above 20 crores, then you are mandated to issue these debt instruments through EBP, that is electronic book platform. The next point says, as per SEBI's new framework, this requirement to use EBP platform now covers private placement of debt securities which include non-convertible redeemable preference shares. So it is not only for debt securities, it also includes the non-convertible redeemable preference shares as well as municipal bonds, including single time issue, shelf issue or maybe follow on issue in a one issue within a financial year. तो ये जो limit है, this is not for one go, it is for the entire financial year. Is this point clear? Is this point clear? I hope no doubt till this particular point. If it is clear, just give me yes sir so that I can move ahead. If it is clear till this point, just give me yes sir so that I can move ahead. तो इसका मतलब ये है कि if you are a company, you are issuing debt instruments or maybe non-convertible, redeemable preference shares, or you are a municipal corporation and you are issuing the municipal bonds, in those conditions, if your total issue value for a financial year is greater than 20 crores, then you are mandated to issue those instruments through EBP only. But if your issue is below 20 crores, then you can issue directly. There is no hard and fast rule in that concern. But earlier this limit was for 50 crores, or I would say this mandation or this mandatory condition was for 50 crores and above. But now this condition is applicable if your issue is above 20 crore rupees. Moving on to the next point. The next point says, SEBI has also extended the applicability. This is very important. SEBI has also extended its applicability on real estate investment trust as well as on infrastructure investment trust, which were previously not covered by the platform. So what is real estate investment trust? Basically, guys, if there is a real estate company and this real estate company is setting up a project, but for that project, if company is in need of funds, company can issue REITs. If it is an infrastructure company, company can issue InvITs, that is InVITs. So all these both instruments are also financial instruments, which are investment instruments for the public. Earlier, they were not included under EBP, but now they are also included under the category of EBP. This is what you need to remember. Moving on to the next point. It is voluntary for an issuer to access EBP platform for private placement. तो यहाँ पे एक अगला पॉइंट ये आया कि सर there is a voluntary condition as well, that it is up to you. It is up to you whether you want to access EBP or not in case of what, sir? In case of securitized debt instrument. I hope you all remember what is securitized debt instrument. We have covered this in much detail. Or in case of security receipts, or in case of commercial papers, or in case of certificate of deposit. So in these conditions or for these instruments, it is voluntary that whether you use this EBP platform or not. But if it is a debt instrument other than these instruments which are mentioned, then in that particular case, EBP is mandatory if your overall issue is above 20 crore rupees under private placement condition. Issuers, they are required to submit the placement memorandum and term sheet containing the key terms and condition at least 2 days before the issue opens, or 3 working days in case of the first time issue. What is this? Sir, if you are a company and you are going to issue your debt instruments of value more than 20 crores, then in that particular case, you should reach to EBP and you should submit the term sheet. You should submit the term sheet T-2 days. That means the day on which you are finally going to issue it. Before that, 2 days before that, you should submit your terms or term sheet to EBP. But if a company is issuing for the very first time, then you need to give 1 day extra to EBP. In that particular case, the condition is you must submit your term sheet 3 days before the issue. You must submit the term sheet 3 days before the issue. अब यहाँ पर जब मैं इस point को पढ़ रहा था, I came across with a very important term. Company should disclose the base issue. Base issue size means the size up to which company is ready to issue the debt instruments. Second point is company should also disclose green shoe option. Now you must be wondering what is it? It's a very important concept. I'll discuss it in few minutes, which is capped at 5 times the base size, as well as you should discuss or you should disclose the past green shoes allocation as required to be disclosed. अब मेरा question यहाँ पे बदल गया. यहाँ तक the basic terms, I guess it is clear related to EBP. Now I'm jumping on to a very new topic in this particular news itself. That's what do you understand by a word green shoe option? What do you understand by a word green shoe option? I make you understand this point. Guys, let's suppose there is a company named Zomato. Hai? Zomato got approval from SEBI that yes, you are allowed to go public. So the company decided that I'm going to go public. In that particular case, company has decided its issued capital. Company has decided the issue capital. Issue capital means up till what value of capital you are going to issue the equity shares. For example, they have decided that we will be issuing shares worth 100 crores. Each share is of 100 rupees. That means we will be issuing 1 crore shares. But there is one more term which they have to disclose. The term is green shoe option. What is this green shoe option? So green shoe option say if in near future the demand on the issue capital is very high, the demand on the issue capital is very high, in that particular case, do you ready or are you ready? Have you given an option where you will be issuing some extra capital, where you will be issuing some extra equity shares? So that extra instruments which you issue in order to compensate the high demand in the market, that is basically known as green shoe option. So what is green shoe option? So it is also known as over allotment option. It is a feature in an IPO that allows underwriters to sell more shares than initially planned. So this was your initial plan, but now you are selling more than your initial plan, and this is basically to stabilize the share price after the IPO has witnessed excess demand in the market. So whenever a company comes up with an IPO, and if company feels that the demand is very high in comparison to the supply, and if required, if allowed, if already decided, green shoe option, then you can go with some extra issue, and that extra issue is known as green shoe option. Got it? What are the benefits? So it will stabilize the share price. It will address the problem of oversubscription. What is oversubscription? So issue capital is 100 crores, but against this 100 crores, we have received an application of 10,000 crore. That means in comparison to issue, subscription is 10 times, or I would say 100 times. So if the subscription is 100 times the issue size, then in that particular case, in order to address this oversubscription, this extra issuing is very much important, and even it will protect the underwriter. How it's going to protect the underwriter, I'll discuss that as well. A question hai ki sir, how this entire process of green shoe option is done? If I discuss the green shoe option entire process, it goes in this manner. Underwriting agreement. The IPO underwriting agreement includes a green shoe clause. Whenever you tie up with an underwriter at the time of issuing the shares, at that particular tie-up, you sign the agreement related to the green shoe clause. कि green shoe होगा या नहीं होगा. If yes, होगा तो कितनी value का होगा, that is pre-decided. So you come up with a green shoe clause which allows underwriter to purchase additional shares, typically up to 15% of the total offering from the company at IPO price. So this will allow underwriter to purchase certain percentage of share from the company at IPO price, and those shares can be issued in the market in order to stabilize the demand. If demand for the IPO exceeds the initial offering, the underwriter can exercise this green shoe option. तो जो उन्होंने extra IPO खरीदने की कैपेसिटी अंडरराइटर के पास है, अंडरराइटर उस कैपेसिटी को यूज करेगा, एक्स्ट्रा शेयर कंपनी से खरीदेगा और उन एक्स्ट्रा शेयर्स को मार्केट में इशू करेगा इन ऑर्डर टू स्टेबलाइज द डिमांड. Third point is additional shares sold. The underwriter then sell these additional shares at IPO price in order to stabilize the demand. If needed, this is very important, if needed, share repurchase. If share price falls, ऐसा हो सकता है कि आपने शेयर्स इशू किए और आपका जो शेयर प्राइस है वो फॉल हो गया आफ्टर लिस्टिंग, then in that case underwriter can use the green option not only to sell but also to buy back the shares, preventing the price from dropping too sharply. तो यहां पे ये भी कंडीशन है कि आईपीओ आपने इशू किया, after issuing the IPO the prices of your shares are falling at a very high rate. In that particular case, with the help of this green shoe option, Underwriter has a power to issue extra shares. Underwriter has a power to buy back the shares from the market in order to stabilize the share price. So this option is known as green shoe option, and this green shoe option is also allowed. This green shoe option is also allowed in the case of EBP, but there is a condition. Green shoe option can be up to 5 times base value. Can be up to 5 times the base value or can be up to 5 times the base issue size. तो अगली बार अगर आपसे कोई पूछेगा what do you understand by the word green shoe option, I'm pretty sure you will be able to answer it. Is it clear, guys? So the term green shoe option, if it is clear, just give me yes sir, so that we can move ahead. This is something which can be asked directly in phase 1 or it can be asked in the phase 2 examination in the form of paragraph form, or it can be asked in the paragraph format. What is green shoe, or there could be a paragraph on green shoe option, and I'm pretty sure now you will be in a position to answer it. If it is clear, give me yes sir, everyone. Okay, moving on to the next point in this same news itself. The next point in this news is these revised changes, that is revised changes to EBP, will come into effect immediately except for certain clauses related to anchor investors, disclosures and reporting that will come in effect in 3 to 6 months from the circular date. अब यहाँ पर एक और नई problem आ गई. The new problem over here is, so what do you understand by the word anchor investor? What do you understand by the word anchor investor? Now first we'll discuss what is anchor investor, as we always do. यही आदत है हमारी. एंकर इन्वेस्टर समझने के बाद विल गो बैक एंड चेक दी न्यूज जो सेबी की सर्कुलर हम पढ़ रहे हैं, वी विल कंप्लीट इट. नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज, सो व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड बाय द वर्ड एंकर इन्वेस्टर? गाइस, एंकर इन्वेस्टर का मतलब क्या हुआ? लेट्स सपोज आई एम जोमैटो, आई वांट टू इशू द शेयर्स, आई वांट टू गो पब्लिक, बट बिफोर आई गो पब्लिक, I approached to many of the qualified institutional buyers, and one of the qualified institutional buyer came up with the proposal that Zomato, I am ready to purchase 30% of your total issue value जो आप issue करना चाहते हैं public को. Before you issue, I am ready to purchase 30% of that value at that particular price. तो इससे होगा क्या? इससे दो benefit हुए. पहला benefit क्या हुआ? So पहला benefit तो ये हुआ, when Zomato was planning to go public, Zomato has decided, let's say the price of a share 100 rupees, we call it as face value. I'm saying that this is the face value of the share, and Zomato was planning to sell the share at 150 rupees because of the premium, because of the high demand. Public was bit dicey कि 150 पे खरीदना चाहिए या नहीं. अभी तक ये सारी बातें चल रही थी, अभी तक आईपीओ इशू हुआ नहीं है. आईपीओ इशू होने से पहले जोमैटो के पास एक क्वालिफाइड इंस्टीट्यूशनल बायर आया, एंड द क्वालिफाइड इंस्टीट्यूशनल बायर सेड, आई एम रेडी टू परचेज 20% ऑफ द इशू कैपिटल, एंड दैट टू एट 150 रुपीज. द मोमेंट दिस 20% ऑफ इशू कैपिटल purchase has been recorded, purchase has been booked by qualified institutional buyer, it will increase the public confidence. अब public जो सोच रही थी कि Zomato के शेयर खरीदे या नहीं, उनका कॉन्फिडेंस इंक्रीज होगा. क्यों? उनको ये लगेगा कि अगर ये क्वालिफाइड इंस्टीट्यूशनल बायर जिसको इतनी ज्यादा समझ है, if he or she or the company or the entity is ready to purchase the shares, and that to 20% of the issue value, and that too at 150 rupees, that means 150 is a fair price. If this IPO comes in the near future at 150, I will apply for it. So the moment anchor investor comes in the picture before you issue your IPOs, it increases the credibility of the IPO. It increases the confidence of the public. The moment this IPO will be issued on the same price, or the price at which the anchoring has been done, on that particular anchor investment, we can witness the purchase, we can witness the demand, we can witness huge subscription from the public as well. So what is anchor investor? So anchor investor is an institutional investor who commits to purchase significant portion of the shares in IPO before issue opens to the public. Before it opens to the public, anchor investors help to create demand for the stock, stabilizes or establishes an anchor price and provide assurance to the retail and institutional investor, which is a good point. What is the purpose? So the purpose of this anchor, अगर हम बात करें कभी भी हम anchor word की बात करते हैं, it is always related to a ship. Ship का जो anchor होता है ना, it is always related to that. The moment you drop the anchor, ship जो है, it stays on that particular point. Same is over here. कि अगर आपके पास एक anchor investor आ गया, then in that particular case your IPO price is going to stay on that particular price only. You can issue the IPO on that anchor price, which can easily invite huge amount of subscription from the public. So anchor investors, they are essentially anchors in the sense they stabilize and boost the credibility of the borrower pre-investment. By purchasing shares, they set anchor share price, they signal the confidence, and this will increase the investors' confidence. It will increase the public confidence in the given IPO. What are the characteristics? Sir, it is institutional in nature, it is of large scale, it results in price stability, and it is mandatory. It comes up with a mandatory lock-in period. That means it comes up with a mandatory lock-in period of 30 days, which means if you are doing anchor investment, you will be holding this investment for next 30 days even after the issue of IPO. तो अगर IPO के issue होने के बाद भी anchor investor is holding the IPO for 30 days, it will help the company to avoid unexpected fluctuations in the market price of the share. ऐसा नहीं है कि एकदम से जिसने shares खरीदे, they all are ready to sell. Still there is an anchor investor who is staying tight, due to which we cannot expect the share price to dilute, the share price to fall down very easily or very steeply once the issuing is done. So that is the another benefit. Now, if I talk about the regulations, some minimum investment requirement, each anchor investor must invest at least 10 crores, then only you will be termed as anchor investor. You will come up with a lock-in period of 30 days post allotment. Cap on allocation, SEBI mandates that up to 60% of the portion reserved for QIBs in an IPO can be allotted to anchor investors. So anchor investor can be up to 60% of the portion reserved for qualified institutional buyers. Last is early allotment. Anchor investors are allotted the shares one day before. They are allotted the shares one day before the IPO open for the other investors. It opens for the public. Now, how anchor investor impact? Sir, it set the anchor price. It builds the investor confidence. It improve IPO subscription. It stabilize the price post listing. Examples of anchor investors which have been used in the past IPOs, then the best example is Zomato, LIC, Nykaa. All these companies, they have witnessed the anchor investment which has made their IPO such a success. No, it is not called as angel investors. Angel investors are those investors which invest in the early startups where the startups have not even developed a prototype. But if they want to develop a prototype, the investment which is done, that is done by the angel investors so that the prototype can be developed and the company can set up the manufacturing unit and company can start its business. So that is quite different. Is it clear? Now coming back to the news. What is the point related to the anchor investment in this case? So the revised changes to EBP will come into effect immediately, but it will not be applicable on anchor investors. It will be applicable on the anchor investors in next 3 to 6 months. Now you are clear what are anchor investors. There are certain conditions. The conditions are if the instrument rating is instrument rating, that means the instrument which is being issued, debt instrument which is being issued, if it is rated as AAA, AA plus, AA minus, then anchor portion of base size cannot exceed 30%. If the rating is bit low, A plus or A minus, then it will be not exceeding 40%. If the rating is even below A minus, then anchor investment cannot exceed 50% value. So it is now mandatory. Please pay attention. It is now mandatory for anchor investor to confirm their participation electronically 1 day prior to the issue, with any unconfirmed portion being reallocated to the general issue. So यहाँ पे this is very clear. जैसा कि मैंने आपको बताया that anchoring or anchor issue will be done 1 day before the IPO, 1 day before it is issued to the public. So anchor investors, they have to confirm their participation 1 day before. Once their participation is done, then only the left out asset, the left out financial instruments will be issued to the public. Is it clear? So if I conclude my discussion on this particular topic, so the conclusion says, as per the latest SEBI announcement, it says that if a company wants to raise funds of value greater than or equals to 20 crore through private placement, that is possible only and only through EBP. This is going to be applicable from tomorrow onwards. Matlab, the day it was presented, from that day itself it is applicable. But in case of anchor investors, these conditions are going to be applicable in 3 to 6 months. Now we know what is anchor investment. While discussing this point, there was a term known as base issue, and there was a term that is known as green shoe option. So I have discussed with you what is green shoe option as well. So these two are the static topics which I have discussed in this particular news, because it has a great chance that the direct question can be asked in the examination. Clear ho gaya ji? Samajh aa gaya? Are we good to go? Shall I move on to the next news? Just give me yes, sir. Shall I move on to the next news? Just give me yes, sir, so that we can move on to the next news. ठीक है. The next news I have is, actually I have 3 news from RBI. In my first news, RBI has granted license. In my second news, RBI has given certain approval. In the third news, RBI has cancelled the license. So I will be discussing about these 3 news with you all. The first point from where I would like to start my discussion is ZigZook, which is a growing fintech startup which is headquartered in Hyderabad, has received in principle authorization from RBI to issue prepaid payment instruments. I hope you all know what is prepaid payment instrument. If I give you an answer, whenever you travel in a metro, you always use a metro card, but that metro card is issued by the metro authorities. You get it recharged. That means first you pay the amount, that amount is loaded on that particular card, and then you can use that card to travel here and there on that particular metro service. That is a type of prepaid payment instrument. As the name suggests, prepaid. First you pay, then you make the payment. Prepaid payment instrument. First you pay, you load it, and now you make the payment as per your requirements. That is known as prepaid payment instruments. We have digital wallets. They are also, digital wallet is also one of the example of what that is prepaid payment instrument. Now, if a company is thinking of issuing the prepaid payment instrument, in that particular case, they need approval from RBI. That means you must be wondering, क्या सर दिल्ली मेट्रो ने आरबीआई से अप्रूवल लिया था? दिल्ली मेट्रो तो बहुत बड़ी बात है सर. यूजली व्हेन वी visit the mall, we visit gaming zones, we visit food court. In those food courts, in those gaming zones, also we have to take a card from their counter itself. We load the funds. Then those loaded funds can be used to play different games in that particular game zone. For that case also, RBI approval is required. My answer is no. RBI approval is required in case of semi-closed and open prepaid payment instrument. There is one prepaid payment instrument which is known as closed prepaid payment instrument. Closed prepaid payment instrument requires no RBI approval because it is an instrument which is issued by party 1 and it is utilized in the premises of party 1 only. It is issued by party 1 and it will be utilized in the premises of the same party. For example, your food court, your gaming parlor, for example, your Delhi metro. But if there is a prepaid payment instrument like a Paytm wallet, where you can use the Paytm wallet balance to make different payments, to pay different or I would say to get different mobile phone recharges, to make different purchases, in that particular case RBI approval is required. We call it as semi-closed prepaid payment instrument, where you can use this instrument to make payment on different points. What is open prepaid payment instrument? So open prepaid instrument is an instrument which can use to make the payment on various POS, that is point of sale, as well as this open prepaid payment instrument can be used to withdraw cash. It can even be used to withdraw cash from ATM machine, that is from the automated teller machine, and that is the reason open prepaid payment instrument can be issued only and only by the banks. So the DICGC has received the approval to issue the prepaid payment instrument. Obviously, it has got the approval to issue the semi-closed prepaid payment instrument. It can issue the prepaid wallets, it can issue the cards, and with the help of these wallets can be linked to different UPI applications, and now you can pay from this particular wallet. That means amount will be debited from the wallet, but payment will be done through the UPI mode while tying up with Google Pay, Amazon Pay and whatnot. So prepaid payment instruments are those instruments which are used to purchase goods and services, conduct financial services, enable remittance facility, that means transfer the funds from one wallet to another against the value of money stored within themselves. They are designed to facilitate cashless transaction. Users can load the money and use them for various payments. That is known as semi-closed prepaid payment instrument. But if it is an open prepaid payment instrument, you can even withdraw cash with the help of ATM. Is this point clear? Is this point clear? So if someone asks you, name the company which has recently received the license or approval for prepaid payment instrument from RBI, that is DICGC. If someone asks you what is closed PPI, what is semi-closed PPI, what is open PPI, I'm pretty sure you are clear with all those terms. If it's clear, just give me a thumbs up. Moving on to the next news. The next news is recently RBI has granted in principle approval to Emirates NBD Bank PJC for setting up wholly owned subsidiary in India under scheme for setting up wholly owned subsidiary by a foreign bank in India. So this is something which is important. Phase 1, very important. Question kya aayega? Question will be in this form. Name the bank which has recently received the approval from RBI to set up wholly owned subsidiary in India. The answer is Emirates MBD PJSC Bank, which is a UAE based bank which has received the approval. Now the question is, so what is this news? And obviously, what is this scheme for setting up of scheme for setting up of wholly owned subsidiary by foreign bank in India? I hope you guys are ready. I'll take 20 more minutes to explain this particular news. If you all are ready, just give me yes, sir. If you all are ready, just give me yes, sir. Now, the point is, guys, let's suppose there is a foreign bank and this foreign bank want to invest in India. Foreign bank wants to invest in India in the banking sector, then it is allowed. Foreign bank can invest in Indian private banks which are already existing in India, or they can invest in the public sector banks such as SBI and all. But this kind of investment is not only for foreign bank, it is allowed for all the foreign entities. Here the limit is 74% FDI is allowed, and in this case up to 20% FDI is allowed. But if foreign bank wants to operate as a bank in India, what is the option? So the first option is they can open up branches in India. Obviously, they can open up the branches in India after the approval is given by RBI, but these branches which are going to operate in India, these branches will be managed, looked after, their operations will be controlled from the headquarter itself, and this headquarter is outside India. This headquarter is outside India. So this was going on. Then there is one more option. The one more option is these foreign banks, they can set up a wholly owned subsidiary in India. In short, they can set up a company in India. They register themselves as a company in India. Then they seek approval from RBI to operate as a bank. And once the approval is given, then these wholly owned subsidiary in the country will be opening up the branches, and these branches which are opened up will be termed as wholly owned subsidiaries. This means this is an independent organization which is owned by a foreign bank, but it is operating in India as a bank under the 100% jurisdiction which is prevailing in India only. They are operating with 100% jurisdiction which is prevailing in India only. So these are the three options. Earlier, if the bank has invested, the foreign bank investment is done, if the foreign bank investment is done before August 2010, then it is up to the bank will that whether bank wants to go with a branch or bank wants to go with wholly owned subsidiary. But after August 2010, RBI has come up with a clear statement that if the bank has, or if a foreign bank has started its operation as a branch in India, then on RBI requirement, on RBI decision, on RBI demand, you have to convert your branch into wholly owned subsidiary. You have to convert your branch into wholly owned subsidiary, or you will be liable to convert your branch into wholly owned subsidiary under certain conditions. So recently RBI has given the approval. To the UAE bank which was operating in India as a branch that, sir, we request you to start your operation in India as a wholly owned subsidiary, as you cannot continue your operation as a branch. And we can say that. Who am I? I can say that I am RBI. Why I can say that? Because you have set up your operations in India after August 2010, and I have full authority that I can ask you to convert your branch operations into the wholly owned subsidiary. Is this story clear? If the story is clear till this point, just give me yes, sir. Take the screenshot. I'm removing it. Coming back to the point. So the point says RBI will be granting the license. If I go with the news only, RBI will be granting the license for the commencement of banking operations in the wholly owned subsidiary mode, section 22 of Banking Regulation Act 1949. Right now, this bank is operating in the branch form, or it is continuing its banking business in India in branch mode through its branches in Chennai, Gurugram, as well as Mumbai. So other lenders operating in India through this wholly owned subsidiary model, right now we have DBS, that is Development Bank of Singapore. It was also asked by RBI to convert your branch mode to wholly owned subsidiary mode. Then State Bank of Mauritius, if I'm not wrong, it has also been asked by RBI to convert into what? Sir, to convert into wholly owned subsidiary. Please check it. Is it State Bank of Mauritius or Malaysia? I'm a bit confused. You just check it and let me know in the comment section. Now, let's talk about this. Firstly, guys, if you are RBI, why you want that bank should foreign bank should operate as a wholly owned subsidiary? See, if I am RBI, I would like to have more control on the banking sector, and in order to ensure that control on the banking sector, that will be possible only and only if a foreign bank, rather than opening up its branch in India, it should first register itself as a company in India. It should seek the license from RBI to operate as a bank in India, and then it will be liable to fulfill all the norms, all the conditions as set by RBI for the domestic bank. So it will be more like a domestic bank for RBI, which will be more in control of RBI, which will be more favorable for the public interest. And keeping those points in mind, RBI generally ask the banks which are doing well in the country that rather than continuing your operation as a branch mode, you should open up the wholly owned subsidiary. Now I have few points which I would like to discuss. To ensure financial stability, as well as to improve regulatory oversight, to enable efficient resolution mechanism for foreign banks by encouraging local incorporation through wholly owned subsidiary. These are the reasons why RBI want the bank should operate as a wholly owned subsidiary. What is the difference between branch mode and subsidiary mode? So branch mode is not a separate legal entity. No, it's just a branch of a foreign bank which is registered in, let's say, US, which is operating as per the regulatory authorities of US. RBI has given the, I would say, approval that yes, sir, you can open up a branch in India. So they are operating, or I would say they are running their branch in India, but they are not, or that branch is not a legal entity. The legal entity is still the same parent company which is back in US. But if the same branch is converted into wholly owned subsidiary, then it will become a legal entity in India. That is the first point. Second point is liability. Foreign company is fully liable for the debt and obligation of its Indian branch. Foreign company has limited liability to the extent of its shareholding in Indian subsidiary. So obviously foreign company is liable in case of branch, but when the company has set up its wholly owned subsidiary in India, then that particular subsidiary will be answerable in front of law, in front of court, in case of this registration which is done in the country. Moving on to the next point, activities. It performs the same activity as the parent company, but now it will perform all those operations which RBI want it to perform in India, as RBI is asking the other domestic banks to do. So for RBI, it will be easy to, I would say, designate the services. It will be easy for RBI to ask these wholly owned subsidiaries to operate as per its conditions in comparison to the branches which are directly operating, in comparison to the foreign bank branches which are directly operating in the country. There is a condition. The condition is wholly owned subsidiary mandatory if the bank falls under the point 4 or para 4. So there are few conditions. If a foreign bank which is operating in the country in branch mode, or if a foreign bank is planning to start its operation in India, even in the branch mode, they are not allowed to operate as a branch mode. They will be allowed only and only to set up the wholly owned subsidiary if they fall under the para 4. I'll discuss those mandatory conditions with you. Those mandatory conditions include, first one, home jurisdiction gives preferential claim to the local depositor. What does it mean? It means that home jurisdiction means, let's say there is a bank known as X bank. It is a bank in US, and this bank, as per the US norm, says that if this bank fails, first we will pay to the Americans, then we will pay to rest of the nationalities. First, if our bank is on the verge to be declared as failed bank, then we will be paying to our nationals, we will be paying to our local depositors, we will be paying to Americans first. उसके बाद अगर कुछ बचा तो दे देंगे. अब उस केस में Indians are at risk. If this bank has its branch in India, it has accepted deposit from the Indians, but now this bank has been declared as insolvent. Now this bank is going to liquidate. In that particular case, first they will pay back the deposits of the Americans, and अगर कुछ बचा तो वो deposit वापस करेंगे किसके? Indians के. So in that particular case, Indians are at risk. In that particular case, RBI say mandatory. If you want to operate in India, it's a mandatory condition. You can operate in India only and only under wholly owned subsidiary mode. You are not allowed to operate under branch mode. Second point says inadequate disclosure or supervision in the home country. If your home country do not ask proper disclosures from the bank, or there is no proper supervision of the banking sector in your home country, तो फिर इंडिया के लिए it's very risky. मान लो एक बैंक है coming from country A, and in this country A there is no hard and fast rules and regulation for the banks to operate. If it is setting up a branch in India, तो obviously जिस बैंक के बारे में उसकी home country को नहीं पता, RBI will also know nothing about it. And if in near future anything wrong happens, or if anything goes wrong, this bank is going to result huge loss to the Indian economy. तो भैया उस केस में mandatory है. उस केस में we are not giving you option कि you should convert because RBI is asking you. No, it's mandatory. If you want operate as a wholly owned subsidiary will not allow you to open a branch in the country. Next is complex structure or insufficient market discipline. If we feel that the bank has a very complex structure, the funding is very complex. पहले पैसा फ्लोट हुआ मॉरिशियस में, मॉरिशियस से पैसा फ्लोट हुआ मलेशिया, मलेशिया से सिंगापुर, सिंगापुर से फिर वो इंडिया में इन्वेस्टमेंट हो रही है. इन दिस काइंड ऑफ कॉम्प्लेक्स स्ट्रक्चर इंडिया सेज नो सर, सॉरी, विल नॉट अलाउ यू टू ऑपरेट एज अ ब्रांच. Please set up your wholly owned subsidiary in India. Last and a very important point, RBI classify the banks as systematically important bank. What is a systematically important bank? So systematically important bank in case of a foreign bank is, if we have a foreign bank which has a branch in India, the asset value of this foreign bank's branch in India is greater than or equal to 0.25% of total assets. 0.25% of total assets of scheduled commercial banks, all the scheduled commercial banks of the country. Then in that particular case, it is also mandatory that you should set up your wholly owned subsidiary. मतलब क्या हुआ? इसका मतलब ये है कि फॉरेन बैंक की जो ब्रांच इंडिया में है, मान लो एक ही ब्रांच है, उस ब्रांच की जो असेट वैल्यू है, वो ब्रांच की असेट वैल्यू इंडिया के टोटल सारे के सारे शेड्यूल कमर्शियल बैंक्स की जो टोटल असेट वैल्यू है उससे 0.25% ज्यादा है या उसके बराबर है. इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस दिस इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट बैंक. If this is an important bank, if anything goes wrong in the near future, it will impact the entire economy. So in that case, we will not allow you to operate in a branch mode. We ask you, it is a mandatory condition on you that you should convert yourself from branch mode to wholly owned subsidiary mode. As it is clearly mentioned over here. RBI classify the bank as systematically important bank if it's Indian assets. I'm talking about only Indian assets. इसीलिए मैंने foreign bank नहीं बोला, मैंने foreign bank की branch की asset बोली जो इंडिया में है. If its Indian assets exceed 0.25% of the total assets of the scheduled commercial banks in the country. Now the question is, so what are the advantages? These are the mandatory conditions, and if a bank fall under the mandatory condition, you have no other choice. You should operate in India as wholly owned subsidiary only. What will be the advantage? So clear legal separation of assets and liabilities from the parent company, regulatory clarity, local governance, capital ring fencing, local board accountability, and effective oversight by Indian regulators. These are the advantages of wholly owned subsidiary. Moving on to the next point. याद रखना ये जो क्वेश्चन है इस पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक से डिस्क्रिप्टिव क्वेश्चन आने के चांसेस कम है, इसीलिए आई हैव कम अप विद वेरी शॉर्ट पॉइंट्स सो दैट इफ अ क्वेश्चन इज आस्क्ड इन phase 1 or in phase 2 objective, you can answer pretty well. So what is the eligibility? Sir, first, if a foreign bank wants to set up wholly owned subsidiary in India, first is you require home regulator approval. That means you require the approval of your home regulator. For example, in US, regulator is Federal Reserve. I'm just taking an example. Then you require the approval of Federal Reserves, and international level supervision standards are need to be matched. Secondly, RBI will evaluate the economic relation of RBI with the home country. RBI will evaluate the importance of that bank in the country. RBI will evaluate the inflow and outflow of funds of India with the given home country. Along with that, RBI will evaluate the financial health of the bank, ownership structure of the bank, risk system, and credit rating of the parent bank. And on the basis of this evaluation, RBI will decide that whether you will be allowed to set up wholly owned subsidiary or not. But once you are allowed, you set up your wholly owned subsidiary, then it is going to be fine. Any of the condition, obviously, Brunal, any of the condition, if any one of the condition is fulfilled, then in that particular case, you are supposed to set up as wholly owned subsidiary. You cannot operate as a branch mode or in a branch mode. Now, there are certain conditions. Conditions are, first condition, very important, expected as a objective question. What is the minimum capital requirement? So this wholly owned subsidiary, as the name suggests, 100% investment will be done by the parent bank, है ना, will be done by the foreign bank, and this investment day one minimum is going to be 500 crores. Capital, minimum capital should be 500 crores, and this capital must be brought upfront via foreign exchange remittance. That means you must bring this capital upfront in a foreign exchange remittance mode. Basel III compliant are need to be fulfilled, which means you need to follow the Basel III norms, which include capital adequacy ratio, capital conservation buffer, counter cyclical capital buffer, leverage ratio, liquidity coverage ratio, net stable funding ratio. You need to fulfill all these norms. Last point is foreign bank which has just registered or which will be registering itself as a wholly owned subsidiary. There is a condition that you must be fulfilling the CAR value, that is capital adequacy ratio or capital to risk weighted asset ratio. As per BIS, minimum requirement is 8%. As per RBI, minimum requirement is 9%, but RBI wants to be double sure in case of a new entry. Then RBI says कि भैया अगर आप एक wholly owned subsidiary इंडिया में सेटअप करेंगे, in that particular case your capital adequacy ratio or your capital to risk weighted asset ratio should be 10% for first 3 years. After those 3 years you can come back to the same value as it is for the domestic banks. अगर उस समय domestic bank पे 9 होगा, you will follow 9. If it is 9.5, you will be following 9.5 itself. These are very important terms, that is the corporate governance standards. Greater than or equal to 51% directors as per section 10A of Banking Regulation Act 1949. It says that the directors of the bank, they should have adequate knowledge. They should be capable to be termed as director. ऐसा नहीं किसी को भी director बना दो. So this is the first condition. Second condition is 2/3 of non-executive and 1/3 should be independent and greater than 50% should be of Indian origin. ध्यान से देख लो कि सर total directors में से, total board of directors में से 2/3 should be non-executive, at least 1/3 should be independent, and out of the total board of directors, at least 50% of the board of directors should be of Indian origin. That means Indian origin, they can be NRIs, they can be overseas Indian citizens, they can be Indian residents as well. Mandatory condition है, what is the mandatory condition? CEO should be resident of India. CEO should be resident of India, and the top appointments, that is CEO, chairman appointments, will be done after the RBI approval. Then fit and proper criteria should be fulfilled before appointing the director of a bank. These are the conditions which you need to follow once you set up wholly owned subsidiary in India. Last is, you must fulfill the conditions related to these acts under which you are going to be governed. For example, Banking Ombudsman Scheme, Banking Regulation Act, RBI Act, Companies Act, FEMA, and whatnot. RBI comes up with the priority sector lending norms. So RBI says these wholly owned subsidiaries operating in India, they will have the same limit as that of commercial banks or scheduled commercial banks. That is 40% of A and B C should be provided in priority sector, out of which 18% for agriculture, 10% for weaker section. Then there are certain specific targets for small and medium enterprises, that is 0.4 million or 10 million. Those conditions are not important. बस मैंने आपको बता दिया कि there are few specific targets for micro and small enterprises. If you think you can learn it, go and check the I would say go back and check this circular on the RBI website. याद कर लो, but मैंने इसे बहुत short करके आपको दिया, which is important for your exam. मैंने सारा का सारा circular वैसे के वैसे आपके लिए print नहीं किया because it is not important. तो जितना इंपॉर्टेंट है उतना पढ़ेंगे ज्यादा बेटर है, क्योंकि हमारे पास याद करने के लिए इमेंस चीजें हैं. अगर हर एक चीज को बहुत डिटेल में जाने की कोशिश करेंगे, कुछ भी याद नहीं रख पाएंगे. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज ट्रांजिशन टाइम अलाउड अप टू 5 years फ्रॉम फॉरेन बैंक्स कन्वर्टिंग टू. तो अगर आपके पास एक फॉरेन बैंक है जो कि ब्रांच मोड में इंडिया में ऑपरेट कर रहा है, एंड इफ आरबीआई आस्क दैट बैंक टू ऑपरेट एज अ होली ओन्ड सब्सिडरी, then you will given a timeline of 5 years, up to 5 years to achieve the target, to achieve the registration as wholly owned subsidiary. There are certain conditions. Foreign bank, once registered as a wholly owned subsidiary, can open branches without RBI approval except at sensitive locations, must open greater than 25% branches in unbanked rural areas, and tier 1 branch expansion capped by expansion in lower tier regions is also there. So out of all these, I would say what is very important for you, जहां से क्वेश्चन एग्जाम में पूछा जाएगा, what is the cap, that is the cap, must open 25% of the total branches in the rural unbanked areas or in the unbanked rural areas. ये क्वेश्चन पूछे जाने के पूरे चांसेस है. It is applicable for foreign bank wholly owned or wholly owned subsidiary set up by a foreign bank which is operating in India. Done, guys? I guess all the points are clear. Okay, moving on to the next point. What does the next point says? Next point is again very important. Next point is, if we say that foreign bank has set up its wholly owned subsidiary in India, the moment it has set up its wholly owned subsidiary in India, you can consider it as a domestic company. Now this domestic company will not only operate as a bank, it will accept deposit, it will provide loan, but along with deposit and loan functions, this particular company will invest the funds. This particular company will also invest its funds. So there is a limit. You can invest up to 10%. You can invest up to 10% of your capital. You can invest up to 10% of wholly owned subsidiary capital in a single company. And this is up to 20% overall investment. What does it mean? It means कि ये जो wholly owned subsidiary है, it wants to invest in Infosys. So Infosys, maximum investment which can be done, that is 10% of the capital value. And now it has invested in Infosys, TCS, HPCL, IUCL and whatnot. So this time they have done multiple investments, but this total multiple investments should not be more than 20% of the capital value. So overall investment limit is 20%. Single company investment limit is up to 10% of your capital value. Raise non-equity capital in rupees. So you must be raising non-equity capital in rupees. That means if you are borrowing funds from the public, that is domestic public, you can borrow it in rupees. You can declare the dividends. That means from your profit, you declare the dividend out of your profit and distribute that dividend to your shareholders. That is also allowed. You are required to submit a viable business plan focused on retail banking and inclusion. You should submit a viable plan to the RBI, that what you are going to do in the near future. In the near future, if you want to merge or dilute, yes, you can dilute your stakes, but you can dilute your stakes up to 74%, not below that. क्योंकि FDI की अगर हम पॉलिसी की बात करें, in case of FDI, as I said in the starting itself, if you want to invest in a private company, FDI allowed is up to 74%. If you want to invest in a public sector company, the FDI allowed is up to 20%. So here the dilution, or wholly owned subsidiary may dilute stake to 74% according to the FDI policy, not below that. You may merge or you may acquire other private sector Indian banks after the approval is given by RBI. Once branch mode is converting to wholly owned subsidiary, then RBI will give you the approval. Company registration will be done under Companies Act. Shareholder resolution will be done under Section 44 of Banking Regulation Act, and fresh license to operate as a bank in India will be provided under Section 22, followed by the amalgamation of the branch assets. So all your branch assets will be amalgamated and you will be allowed to operate as an wholly owned subsidiary, allowed to operate as a domestic bank in the country. Is it clear now? Is it clear? So just read it once. ज़्यादा chances है CAR वहां से क्वेश्चन आने के, ज़्यादा chances है 500 करोड़ वाले पॉइंट से क्वेश्चन आने के, या ज़्यादा chances है मैंडेटरी कंडीशंस से क्वेश्चन आने के, एंड मोस्ट एक्सपेक्टेड क्वेश्चन जो आएगा दैट विल बी इन ऑब्जेक्टिव फॉर्मेट. डिस्क्रिप्टिव में क्वेश्चन आने के चांसेस उतने नहीं है. मूविंग ऑन टू द लास्ट न्यूज ऑफ द डे. The last news is very easy. RBI has recently cancelled the license of Lucknow-based HCBL Cooperative Bank. So remember that RBI has announced cancellation of HCBL Cooperative Bank license, and bank's license has been cancelled, or the bank operations has been seized from 19th May 2025. अब हमें पता कि whenever a bank license is cancelled, in that particular case, depositors, they get their deposit claim from DICGC. DICGC stands for Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, which is the wholly owned subsidiary of RBI. It is responsible to insure the public deposits in the scheduled banks, and there is a huge list of banks where these deposits of the public are insured, and the deposit value is up to 5 lakh rupees per individual per bank. Now, the moment RBI has cancelled the license of this particular bank, claim will be given by the DICGC. As per the report, 98.69% of the depositors, they will receive their full amount of their deposit value. Kyun full amount? Which means 98.69% of the depositors, they have their deposits up to 5 lakh rupees, and that is the reason they are going to get 100% recovery of their deposit, but rest 1.21 or 1.31% of the depositors, they may not get the 100% recovery because their deposit may be more than 5 lakhs, but as per the norm, they will be getting maximum recovery of 5 lakhs only according to Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Act. ठीक है जी, समझ आ गया. 3 चीजें. पहला, ZICGC जो भी नाम था वो याद कर लेना. PPI approval. Then we have UAE based bank approval to set up as wholly owned subsidiary. Then we have the third bank for which RBI has cancelled its license. The name is HCBL Cooperative Bank. ये कुछ important news है. I hope it is clear. If it is clear, just give me yes sir. If you have enjoyed the discussion, do hit the like button, and do not forget to copy the PDF after this session. एक बार PDF को कॉपी कीजिएगा, एक बार उसे पढ़ लीजिएगा. The moment you will go through with the PDF once, I can assure you, you will be clear with each and every point. Now, if you have any doubt, you may ask please. And if you have any doubt later on, if you are watching it in the recorded form, you can ask your doubts in the comment section as well. Guys, I know कि finance is very tough, and you guys are feeling that heat before examination कि finance कैसे होगा, but don't worry. I'll take, or I would say what I can say this only, that I make this commitment today. I'll try my level best, even more than best. I will extend myself up to my last limit so that I can help you to understand finance in an appropriate manner, which will not only help you in phase 1, it will help you in phase 2 as well as in the interview part. अगर आपने notice किया होगा, I don't use any technical terms while explaining because I always come up with this notion. The one who is in my class, he or she is from a science background. He or she is not aware of these financial terms. That is the reason my sessions are a bit lengthy. They may look a burden on you in these early days, but the moment we approach to the examination, the moment notification is out, I'm pretty sure you will be very well versed with the basic financial terms. Then I will be increasing my speed, believing that you all have attended my previous sessions and now you are clear with the basic financial terms as well as concepts. So let me reach to that particular point. Let me, I would say, set that foundation for you. Once I believe that yes, the foundation is set, it is now very firm that you can even jump on it, you can even jump and reach out to the advanced level of concepts, or you can understand the advanced news very easily, then I will be doing it in that manner. Don't worry. Is it clear, everyone? So that will be all. We'll catch you in the next session. Do not forget to give your feedback in the comment section. It is already done, Kirti. I'll just find it out on what date I have covered it. But हाँ, ये हो चुका है circular. I'll find it out and I'll share the date with you. Sir, in phase 2, how many questions come from current affair finance? Okay. If I talk about the MCQ part, In the MCQ part, you will have obviously 50% finance, 50% management. In that 50% finance, most of the question will be from current finance only. But in case of descriptive, we can expect 2 static questions from finance and 1 current affair based finance question as per the previous year analysis. तो अगर जो आपके पास 3 options आएंगे, in total you will get how many questions, guys? You will get 6 questions collectively for 15 plus 10 markers, out of which 3 will be of finance, 3 will be of management. वो जो 3 finance के होंगे उनमें से 2 static conceptual based finance होने के chances and 1 will be current affair based or finance current affair based. This is for descriptive. But if you ask me about the MCQ वाला segment, then I would say majority question will be from finance current affairs only. क्योंकि अगर आप देखो ना, in finance current affairs, if there is a question on wholly owned subsidiary, you will call it as static question or current affair based question. I'll call it as current affair based question, because why you studied wholly owned subsidiary related to foreign banks? Because it was in news. So it is a question. I call it as finance conceptual question derived from current affairs. So if you think in this manner, derived from current affairs, then 90% MCQ questions in phase 2 for finance will be from current affairs only. Is it clear now? Is it clear? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. We'll catch you in the next session. Bye-bye. Good luck. God bless you all.